light spoilers ahead. Avowed, a little late, but this was a really interesting one to review. It's one of those first-person RPGs we just don't get enough of these days, and a fantasy one is even rarer.
Well, there you have it.
Just like the freaky fungus growing on this guy's face, Avowed grew on me. I've got criticisms, but overall I think it's pretty good. Combat animations are slick and satisfying.
I think worth and wrath.
Environments and visuals are gorgeous, and thank you to the developers, Obsidian, for designing an open world that was fun to explore and discover, and wasn't just filled with copy-paste tasks like a lot of other modern open worlds.
Even I can see that's a bad idea.
But at the same time, I do have criticisms. The story was alright. I personally never felt invested or emotionally entangled in the story or its characters. And while I liked the combat, I felt like I was going through the motions of fighting the same few enemies over and over throughout the game.
Nice.
Okay, so let's get into Avowed, which takes place in the Living Lands and is set in the same world as the Pillars of Eternity series. You're the envoy of Adir, sent to investigate a mysterious plague that turns things into mindless fungal zombies.
Ah, welcome to the shit, envoy.
Starting up Avowed, I've got to admit, I got a right laugh out of the character creator. Some of the presets are absolutely insane with all these freaky fungal coral features. How can this guy even see where he's going? It turns out these are godlike features, but other characters will still treat you like you're a fungus freak, even if you disable these godlike features.
Ugh, your face! I mean, greetings.
You effectively build up your own RPG character by leveling up and assigning skill points into the Fighter, Ranger, and Wizard skill point systems. You can mix and match skill points across all three trees to build your own personal hybrid class. For my first playthrough, I focused mainly on the Wizard class, but there were also one or two other useful passives that I picked up in the other classes' skill pages. Initial impressions were great, the slick combat, environments, and plenty of stuff to search and explore for loot and treasure.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Avowed has quite heavy, naturey fungus and watery coral themes that didn't entirely click with me. I think aesthetics are more of a personal preference, but even I've got to admit that the environments visually are fantastic. I quickly realised the game world has day and night cycles, and the areas around the starting city of Paradise were gorgeous under the purple night sky. One thing that became apparent was that I couldn't kill any non-player characters that annoyed me.
You can promise until you're blue in the face. What good does that do me?
Good on you, Envoy. If only more of your countrymen were as reasonable.
Well, not just that. NPCs aren't even capable of reacting to anything going on around them, whether there's enemies nearby or they're being hit in the face with a fiery sword.
Envoy, could I speak with you for a moment?
It's not the end of the world, but it's a little surprising from the developers behind Fallout New Vegas. And while Starfield gets a lot of hate, at the very least, NPCs would react to stuff, like when I laser beamed space Karens I didn't like.
Does that woman have any idea who I am?
If you're also a big fan of laser beaming space Karens, consider subbing to Peter Bytes or liking the video for more content like this. Cover lots of RPGs, you might like my Final Fantasy series where I'm replaying them all and ranking them against each other as I go. Thank you.
Anyway, enough chat. I'm sure you have things to do.
Okay, so Avowed's core gameplay can be broken down into main story quests with lots of exploration, side quests, and side content in between. There's roughly 50 side quests there, usually a bit more than fetch quests with some interesting dialogue options.
Come back when you've dealt with them.
Like I said earlier, I think Avowed does open world right. There's lots to explore and side content to find. Thing is, you've got to find this content for yourself. You're not climbing towers that automatically reveal copy-paste objectives nearby. Avowed gets that sense of exploration and discovery right.
No shit!
The game world is full of little things to explore with little treasures. One feature I quite liked were the treasure maps you could find. You'd have to try and work out where these locations are in the world for some extra special treasure. I also quite like the bounty system. In each region's town you could find posted bounties to hunt for a bit of experience and gold.
Well, I'll be. That's all of the bounties.
There's a bit of parkour, jumping and climbing. I know there's some RPG players who really hate jumping puzzles, but I'd say Avowed's jumping and climbing is quite easy. There's these little gauntlets or traps to jump around, but personally I didn't think there was anything too extreme, or at least the more difficult ones were very rare. Avowed's world is mostly made up of 4 big explorable regions, and each region has hidden totem pieces. Finding these totem pieces will earn you some pretty nice passive bonuses, but you can only have 1 totem active at a time, and there's 1 totem for each region.
This looks like it could fit in that artifact we found, actually.
So in my first playthrough, I went straight for Path of the Damned. That's the hardest difficulty, and that's for achievement reasons. I played a wizard, and I've got to admit it was quite tough, and the difficulty was a bit frustrating at times. Early game felt especially rough, with not having a huge arsenal of spells. As a fragile spellcaster, I spent a lot of time scrambling around, dodging enemy attacks, and it seemed like every enemy type would leap at me from across the screen, so I'd constantly have to be on my toes and ready to hit the dodge button. As I played through the game, leveled up and found grimoires with new spells, things definitely became a lot easier. One of my favourite spells became the classic Blizzard spell. This was my bread and butter that would do hefty damage in an area and crowd control enemies by freezing them. Something I think Avowed does really well is let me use my elemental spells to accomplish things in the game world. Like I could power a device with electricity, burn away spiderwebs, or freeze water to make platforms. Some equipment or accessories can be used in combat and allow you to summon undead minions or elementals to help in combat. These are really cool, but I didn't find much use for them personally. And as you play the story and explore, you can also earn godlike powers or passives. What you can get will be determined by your decisions in the story. My favourite godlike power was Severed Branch, which when cast would let me run like Sonic the Hedgehog. Getting all these new spells and skills did freshen up the combat a bit, but combat often felt a little repetitive. I often felt like I was going through the motions and fighting the same few enemies over and over and over.
Another shit atop the pile then.
Avowed also features 4 companions you'll unlock through the story. Kai, an Hourman fighter, rocking a blunderbuss and sword. He's alright, good to have at your side. He's a bit goofy, bit cringy, but he's alright.
What an asshole.
Giata, some manners if you please.
I thought she was being polite.
Marius, a dwarf ranger and a bit of an ass at times.
Right, changing the subject.
Giata, a human wizard with defensive support skills.
I won't cause any trouble.
And Yatzili, an Orlan wizard with some more offensive abilities.
Oh, come on, Envoy, let's get going.
You can take 2 of these companions with you and regularly check in with these guys at campsites. Being on Path of Damned difficulty, these companions were a big help in combat. You can order them to use their abilities from the combat wheel, but I really like that you can also put their abilities on your hotbar to quickly access them. I just wish the game offered more hotbar slots, or at least allowed me to set keybinds to things like companion abilities. I know what you're thinking, but no, you cannot romance the companions in Avowed.
Right. Let's move on from that scenario as quickly as possible.
From the very start of the game, you've also got a mysterious voice in your head that talks to you throughout the game, but the voice doesn't always speak a lot of sense. Maybe it was just me, but personally, I found this voice could get a bit naggy and was a bit of a unlikable character that could be annoying at times. But I will say, to Avowed's credit, I really like that you have the option to just tell this voice to go away through some crude dialogue options.
Does your special friend talk to you?
Which kind of leads into the main story. Like I said at the start, I thought the story was alright. I like it for what it is. Your decisions can change the outcome of major events in the story. There was definitely some awesome moments, but the story and characters weren't quite enough to entangle me and get me emotionally invested with the kind of excellence I'd really want from a top tier RPG. For example, like Pillars of Eternity, which is a good comparison because Obsidian also made this game.
I just hope we made the right decision.
Regretfully, on PC with the Xbox app, I had a few technical issues with Avowed. It must have crashed about 5 times, and believe it or not, Avowed caused the Windows blue screen of death 3 times. I looked into it, it's a known issue related to Nvidia graphics cards. Sounds terrible, but didn't really affect me in the long run, thanks to regular autosaves and quick saves.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
Okay, let's talk about my journey to 100% completion. So my first playthrough had to be on Path of the Damned difficulty for an achievement. The game at this difficulty was pretty brutal, but once I got ramped and rolling with more spells, it got easier. My first playthrough got me to roughly just over the 60-hour mark, and I tried to do absolutely everything I possibly could. That includes doing all the game's side quests, summoning a bear to fight a bear, and cooking every possible recipe at my campfire. Second playthrough was lower difficulty, and I blitzed through this and cleaned up on any remaining achievements. I got to play more of a warrior and ranger hybrid, and play with melee combat a bit more. It was fun, and parrying attacks was really satisfying. This was more of an evil run, and I went for lots of achievements like resorting to violence and conversations 10 times, and ultimately getting the game's evil ending. Getting that 100% completion got me to the 75-hour mark. I'm not sure I'd recommend going the whole mile for that 100% with Avowed.
I think this is about to get interesting.
Alright, time to rank Avowed and see how many petabytes it's earned. So I think where Avowed shines is the slickness of the combat animations, the exploration and stuff to discover in its open world, which is an open world done right in my opinion, and I like the visual fidelity of its environment, even if its themes aren't always to my tastes. I'm kind of in the middle with Avowed storytelling. I think it's decent, but I wanted more from the developers behind Fallout New Vegas and Pillars of Eternity. Same with the RPG stuff and skill point system. It's decent, but I would have liked something a bit more in depth. I felt the voice in my head was nagging me and nonsensical most of the time, and rotating my spells and fighting the same few enemies over and over got a bit repetitive. I'm giving Avowed 72 petabytes. I'm happy we got another first-person fantasy RPG, and I thought it was pretty good. Loved the exploration and discovery elements, but this is a £60 to £80 game. I wanted more from the story. Avowed wasn't able to pull me in emotionally or get hooks in me with its storytelling. Alright, peace for now.